Welcome to the Hero Dads Club. This is your podcast for everyday dads with everyday dreams and everyday challenges. We wanted to bring some fun, some wisdom, and a heap of experience to our listeners by having conversations about topics that we think affect many of us. Despite the name, we are not superheroes. We aren't all-knowing or impervious to pain. We make mistakes. We have uncertainties and fears, and yet we also, somehow, manage to fill our lives with some wins, fun, and most importantly, purpose. Welcome. And hello, Phil, how are you?
Hey, James, mate, I'm certainly not feeling like a superhero today. You're reading through that, and I was like, yeah, no. I mean, I wouldn't be able to be a scratch on a sidekick right now today, which is good because I think what we want to talk about today, we just want to get some, be authentic, get real, and get into some stuff. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Look, I'm a bit under the weather, to say the least. Burning the candle at both ends, and a lot of fantastic stuff happening. But my body is telling me to slow down and go to bed and have a sleep. So, yeah. In true dad fashion, though, we will truck on for the moment. And I thought we'll just have a yarn today and see what comes out of it. And part of my struggle is I work pretty hard during the week, and I really enjoy my work, which is fantastic. It's a refreshing change from the past. So it's great because I wake up and I'm like, yes, I'm going to work, and off I go, and I have a phenomenal day. And then, lots of activities, during the evenings, and then that flows straight into the weekend with the kids. And therein lies the no recovery phase. So I actually get less sleep on the weekends. It's disrupted by the kids, and, depending on how they are and how well they sleep and whether or not they end up in my bed, wanting cuddles or something like that. And come Sunday night, I'm toast, which is not really how it's supposed to be. But I go to work to recover on Monday. So,
do you think maybe that's not unusual for parents, that you see, around the water cooler or getting a coffee on a Monday morning, that a lot of people are kind of just trying to recover from their big weekend, running around, social events, parenting, dad taxi, whatever it is?
Oh, absolutely. That's a big component to it. I am probably pushing a little bit harder than I need to or should. And there's the inherent lack of exercise in that as well, which probably doesn't help me. We know full well that it's not helping. But no drinking, eating well, all that kind of thing. So I'm kind of at that max capacity. From there's good fuel going in, but not enough reset sleep time coming out of it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I suspect there's the wake up call straight away, right?
Well, that's going to make everything harder, or seem harder, and probably impact your ability to make calm and rational, non-emotional decisions sometimes too.
Yeah, look, I have learned over the last sort of couple of years actually to switch off that emotion when making those decisions and dealing with the kids, especially, when they just don't want to get off the computer and stop playing games, or get ready, eat your breakfast, and brush your teeth and get out the door, because yes, the school bell will go and time waits for no one. And I have these unfortunately fantastic debates with my my eldest. She's 10, but will happily remind me that if I smash my watch, then I won't know what time it is, and therefore we won't be late. And worse, if we debate, then she gets into these little debates about, well, why do we need time? What is time? And wants to unpack that, which on the one hand, it's like, oh, that'd be a really fascinating topic to have, a long conversation with you. But at the same time, you're delaying getting out the door. So put your shoes on and let's go. So it's pretty intense. And
So you're raising a philosopher, it sounds like.
Apparently I don't know where it's coming from, but yeah. Yeah, my son's a little bit different. He's a bit younger. He's a bit more like, yeah, I get it. If I do this, then this happens, and then I can have that. And it's like, all right, well, and so he just quickly jumps through all the hoops at warp speed, so he can go back to playing Minecraft, right? So he's like, all right, if this is the game, I'll play it, to unlock the next amount of time on the computer. Whereas my daughter's quite happy for a debate before any of that happens, and she believes firmly that she will win that argument every single time.
Right. So this is So this is one of the avoidance techniques that that kids utilize to avoid having to do whatever it is that they don't want to do. Chores or go to school or whatever it is. And I don't know if it's avoidance even. It seems like a lot of the time they're not going to avoid it. Like they're still going to end up having to do the thing or go to school.
Yeah.
And of course they know that because they've done it 100 times before. So it's just a delaying tactic, which from our point of view carries a lot of pain because it's stressful for us. It's a difficult conversation. So maybe use the example of your daughter. Does she not find that painful? Like maybe she gets something positive out of that delay and that interaction.
Yeah. So look, that's a great question. She obviously is. I can't work out, and this is probably the crux of the pain for me. It's like, what is it that she gains? And if I ask her, I don't really get an answer. It's just shut down. And look, she does have ADHD, and generally this is pre-medication in the morning or as it's kicking in. However, most of the time the activity that we're going to do is for her, and it's something that she has wanted. And so that's what does my head in the most. It's like, hang on, the entire household is rearranging themselves and their day to get you to your activity, for which we will then sit there and wait an hour and a half for you to complete, and we can't interact with it. And then we'll go to the next thing. So
it's not really as simple as just having the carrot. It's not like there's a thing that you're working towards that she wants, you offer that, she'll move from A to B to get the carrot to go, go play with her friends or whatever it is. So is this, I suppose we need to dig into a bit about what is ADHD and how does it work? How does it change perceptions? Because I know not a lot about it, but procrastination seems to be one of the big ones with people with ADHD. That's certainly one of the presentations. So what do you see? Obviously you see that with your daughter, with the procrastination and the delaying. How does that function? Like, do you understand that?
Well, no, I don't understand it. I can't relate to it, but I do now appreciate some of the feedback that her mum's given me, and that is like she can't see the next task to do in order to achieve it, so she'll avoid the entire thing. So let's say it's get dressed, have breakfast, brush your teeth, all the usual routine that you would have to leave the house. She will struggle with the next step. So quite often it's down to me to present the next step to her. And that is, it's exhausting, because it's literally like, okay, I've put your clothes, I've got them out of the drawer for you. I've put them on your lap. You're still on your computer. It's time to stop. And the next step you need to take is put your clothes on. Now, sometimes she'll throw her toys out of the pram, get off the computer, and run into the bedroom with her clothes, and then lose them. Where's your socks? Oh, I don't know. They're gone. But you had them in your hand. I don't know where they are. But what did you do with them? I don't know. And then she's upside down on the bed, half out of her pajamas. And so, yeah, it's really like, it's actually quite hard emotionally for me, because it's just like, okay, I got to spend the next 20 minutes saying, all right, now let's take your pajamas off. Put your underwear on, put your pants on, put your shirt on, put your socks on. Now let's get up off the bed, walk to the bathroom. It's down to that level.
Yeah.
And that is utterly exhausting for someone like me, that will just wake up and go, like, and churn through 50 tasks without like even blinking. So I acknowledge that it's a huge challenge for her, but it's also like massively debilitating when I will crush most of my day in the first few hours. So it's emotionally hard, and I have to switch to, during the week, I can just go for it. And then on the weekend, I've really got to just slow right down to a snail's pace and like micromanage the steps through. Now, interestingly, yeah. And so like by the time I'm out the door, I've lost my voice. I'm not yelling or anything, but it's just like, you just have to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. Like, it could be 5 to 7 times before the pants are on, or the shoes are on, or something like that, and so on. And then as medication kicks in, then things get more interesting and more normal, and so on. It's like, oh, there's my beautiful daughter who can interact and have amazing, like, she's super intelligent, but she's blocked by this ADHD wall of whatever is, that thing. So
that's not so much a motivation thing as it is perhaps an ability, when she's in whatever state she's in, like the ability to focus on one event at a time, or even, multiple sequential events, is impacted.
Yeah. I've given up on her unmedicated doing multiple sequences. It's just not on.
Okay.
It does not happen. I used to think, oh no, I'll be able to help her and train her on it or whatever. No, just not going to happen. So it is very much like that, one foot in front of the other kind of thing. So, and she's not doing it to troll me. So at first, like, it can come across like massive gaslighting, but how is my 10-year-old gaslighting me? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no, you are wrong. I don't need to, like, she'll say stuff that sounds really nasty, but in reality, she just doesn't, like, sometimes when the barrier breaks, she'll be like, look, I can't do it. I'm like, okay, you understand that, like, I don't understand this, but I will help you through this no matter what. So sometimes we have those amazing moments where she'll tell me, she's like, there's too much noise in my brain. I can't hear you. I can't see my clothes in front of me. Like, yeah. And then this is where it gets ridiculous. We arrive at the like singing and acting and dancing lesson, and she's right into it. Medication's in, everything's on, and she's performing. and loves it and comes buzzing off the high of, hey, we just did this and I hung out with this person and rah, 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 and we have a great chat. And it's like, oh, do you want to go and get some sushi? Sure, let's go. She's like, I'd like this sushi, and it's done. Perfect. And then we have an amazing day. And come evening, medication starts to wear off. Her brain turns back on, the noise turns back on, and then she can't sleep. And so, yeah, me having been woken up 5:30 or whatever, is then I'm quite happy at 9 o'clock at night to go, okay, I'm tired, like everything's done, everyone's had dinner, and we're bath time's finished, it's in bed, I'll go to sleep. Not for her. She's like, oh, but my brain's talking now, it's noisy, I can't sleep. And it's rare that she'll say that, but the odd time that she has, I at least know what's going on, but she then can't settle. She can't self-settle. And then it's like, okay, so it'll be sort of 2 to 3 hours of bedtime routine of like physical contact of like, making sure I'm like patting her on her back, or, stroking her hair, or talking to her, or reading her. So like, it's not just a traditional, okay, here's your story. Maybe an extra story. We'll read a book together and then tuck you in and then go to bed. It's like, no, I need the light on. I need the you here. And I'm utterly exhausted. Like, so it's
everything you've been saying is, different perhaps to the challenges that I talk to a lot of parents about, where they're, I don't want to say they're having, parenting fails, but there's stuff they could be doing better.
Yeah.
Whereas it sounds very much like, you are smashing it. Like, you're dealing with that really, really well. But of course, there's an impact on you. But
yeah,
from an interaction point of view, from a communication point of view, and behaviorally, your interaction with your daughter sounds really, really good. Like, you're doing everything you can to understand and support her.
Thank you. I try.
Well, I mean,
it's really hard.
I'm just going from what you've said there. That's how it sounds. You're not trying to force her to do more than she's capable of doing at a particular time. You're not making her feel bad about the fact that she handles tasks differently to the way you do, which is a massive one for most parents. Is we just expect that our kids can and should do what we do, and it's like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So what else? But then maybe the self-care component is missing for you, or some sort of support or understanding, or ADHD parenting peer support group. I don't know. What's missing?
That's a great question, and that's partly why I'm like asking this question of myself and the world today. It's like, well, how do you deal with this? And because the sad thing for me as well is that my son misses out on so much because of the amount of time I have to spend looking after my daughter. When I say looking after, it's like, it's that morning and evening routine where it's like, well, hey, I just want to chill out with him. He wants to hang out and play some Lego or read a story or what have you. And he's just like, can you just stop her from carrying on? I'm like, well, I'm trying, mate. Like, and then I end up spending all the time with her, getting her to sleep. And he's like, well, it's not fair. Like, you're always with her. I'm like, I know, because as soon as I walk away, she goes nuts and can't cope. So yeah.
So me, I love to challenge, right?
Go.
I hear somebody come forward with something, a belief, a behavior, or whatever, and I'm like, how can I challenge that? And it works both ways. So when somebody's think they're doing a good job and they're not, I'll challenge that, and I'll go, well, is that really the best you can do? Is that
yeah,
best way to handle it? But I kind of think in the other way with what you've shared is, you're saying, well, your son misses out on a lot. Yeah, but what is he actually also getting? What he's getting is seeing how his dad is treating him and his sister, how you are respecting her needs and wishes, how you are making time for her when she's struggling, you know, how you are being the calm center of the storm and not exacerbating things by flying off the handle.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he's maybe, and of course, you know, he's probably a bit jealous of the time, the attention, and, you know, misses out on some stuff and some dad time. But alongside that, you know, the lessons that he's learning, the strength that he's getting, and what he's picking up to take into, you know, his next stage of life, and then eventually, hopefully, as a, you know, an adult and a parent, that cannot be underestimated. That's what that was the first thing I thought when you were talking about, you know, how your son was missing out because you're nurturing your daughter. And I'm sure, you know, there's middle ground, and sometimes, you know, you probably just have to go, well, try and find our socks and I'll spend 5 minutes with him. You know, I mean, that kind of stuff does happen.
Yeah.
But you're teaching a lot of really good lessons. I mean, that's just from an outsider's perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, I hadn't looked at it that way. I just see it, you know, a bit more as like, wow, you know, the last sort of bunch of time has always been sunk into just what I would call basic mechanics of life, of like, these are the things you need to do to get out the door to go to the event that you've booked. And yeah, here we are. So yeah,
it's a challenge, and I'm sure that, you know, we have plenty of listeners who will also have dealt with, you know, I wouldn't call it behavioural issues, but maybe ADHD with, you know, kids in their families, even in themselves, and probably, you know, love to, you know, find out what other people's thoughts and feedback are about that. You know, how do you handle that? And just even with multiple kids, you know, when you've got siblings and one requires more attention because of whatever the reason, how do you balance that? How do you offset that? How do you, you know, let the other kids know they're also important, and include them along the journey? So, you know, I mean, I'm hoping that we get some really good feedback about that, because that might be something that we can then take some of those ideas and break them down and, you know, discuss them again in the future.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Mate, but you're, so understanding what you're dealing with, but also you feel like you're kind of approaching burnout or at risk of?
Yeah. Well, my body very much just, it'll reach that point, you know, you get the sore throat, the muscles are all sore, and it's not a good sore like I've done a good workout at the gym. It's just like sheer fatigue. So the signs are all there. And it'll just crash and you'll end up in bed sick, and then you'll have to recover and you lose a whole week. And I don't like wasting time. Being sick in bed is like a waste of time, right? So, yeah, it's so I appreciate that I do need to just hit the pause button, or at least the slow down button a fair amount, and let my body recover for a bit, and then we'll go again. I think the icing on the cake was this cold front that came in here and then just like hit Sydney, and it just tipped me over the edge of like, I might have just been like right on the cusp, and then I was just like, a few cold nights, and your body's like, no, I'm not dealing with this anymore. Had enough.
I know we think we lock ourselves away in the cities and we're not, you know, as connected with nature, but the weather does play a part in our moods and our ability to cope. Mate, I'm down in Arctic Melbourne, so let me tell you, we are entering into the period of not fun for a few months down here. I can't say everybody, but certainly I will be cranky AF. I do not cope well when it's just, you look out the window, it's just grey drizzle. And And of course, then you're always going to get the smart ass with the jokes going, oh, but aren't you English? Don't you love that? And I'm like, why do you think I left? You don't go to Australia because you love the weather in England, right?
Yeah.
Coming back to your, sort of taking a step back and slowing down. You said something like you just love to be busy, or you need to be busy all the time, or you don't like kind of slowing down.
Yeah.
Just popped into my head, and I'm probably going to get this quote completely wrong. I don't know. It's from some, Swami guru meditator. I don't know. It said something like, if you can't find 5 minutes a day to meditate, then you need to, if you can't find 5 minutes a day to meditate, then you need to make 20 minutes a day to meditate. And I sort of read that and went, and then you think about it and you go, and that just sounds like that might be kind of where you're at.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, because I'm definitely not finding that 5 minutes. So maybe it's time to take a 20 or a 30-minute nap or meditation. So
I'll tell you what, well, let's make a challenge. See if we can do, I don't know, a day before the next time we speak. Just one time where you just take 15 minutes out to do nothing, whether that's nap or meditate or just sit quietly, but to do nothing. I certainly want to give it a try, because that is not my strong suit either. Well, thanks, James. Thanks for being raw today. We kind of I know you had some stuff there that you wanted to just get out, and I think it's going to be really important for our listeners, some of them especially, like I say, going through in similar situations. We might get something out of that, and at the very least, just knowing, well, geez, that sounds like me, and I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I hope it does.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Have a fantastic week.
You too. Take care.
Gotcha.